Welcome back. What do we got here? We've got the ply all cut to shape. I'll just cut back in where I left off. So this is one 2400 by 1200 sheet, and yeah, unfortunately you got to put in 3 pieces. But if this was the finish on the top, then you'd probably try and get another like 2 sheets and just have the one joint in there. But because it's all been covered over, it doesn't matter. So now that's that. All the pieces are cut. Right now, what we'll do is we'll mark it on the top. Probably should use pencil, but it doesn't matter because it's gonna have the boards over the top. Right, so I've marked top on each of those. So what we'll do is, or what I like to do is put a sealer coat on this. All right, so if heaven forbid ever, you know, we always put new seals and they get done by a proper glass installer with, you know, mastic and all the stuff you should do to keep water out. But you never know, like if water ever got down and went in under the board somehow, this floor is all sealed up, so I can't see how, but I like to play it on the safe side. So it's good to put a coat of varnish on there to lock it in. Sorry, I'm just holding on to this so I won't be as steady. But so what I'm going to do is pull those sheets up and get a coat of floor finish on it. I'll put on, but I'll put on a water-based one. So that's that stuff there. And the magic word here is fast drying. So we're going to put a coat on underneath. I'll just set them up on the stands and then have it out in the full sun here, the Queensland sun. So you wouldn't believe it was winter. It's supposed to be like 20, 25, 26 today, which is fantastic for a winter temperature. That's about 80 degrees. I don't know. God, I don't know. Why can't everyone be metric? So yeah, so that's what's going on. We're going to do that now. Get these boards sealed up. So give me a minute. I'm going to turn this off and put you back on again when I'm brushing a coat on. Okay. Alrighty, we're back onto the floor install. So yeah, this is even confusing for Grego, the bloody doing 2 videos like at once and at the same time. It's like, it's not getting confusing, but it's like, we can work it out. You'll make sense of it. So if there's some overlap where I start talking about installing the rock and roll bed during the video that'll be titled "How to Install a Timber Floor," then you'll be fine, I'm sure. Main thing is I describe what I'm doing here. So I've done cutout for the feet of the rock and roll bed. And yeah, well, I've got the big piece yet to put in. I just thought I'd show you what's going on here. So what I do is put some glue on like every third line. On those smaller pieces there, I put it every second ridge, as we will call it, Old Glen Ridge. And so we'll do it every third instead, I think. And the best bet is to put all that glue down and then yeah, sit the sheet in place. But I'm thinking, what I'm doing is using a small drill bit. I've got to put the small drill bit back onto the drill. That's no good for screw holes. What you got to do is drill holes in random places. It's not random places at all. You should mark it out where you're going to drill it, because you want to be drilling into a higher ridge, not into the lower part ideally, so that it's sucking the board down. And these screws are literally to only hold it there until the liquid nails is dry. I've also used silicone before. You could probably use Sikaflex, whatever you wanted, but liquid nail certainly does the job as well, and it's cheap as chips. So that's what we're talking about. And yeah, so I'll go and put the small bit on now, and I'm just using these little wood screws. Once you drill the small hole, like it's a 2.5mm bit, you can just put a screw in like this with a countersunk. That will sit flush in the timber then, and we can lay the boards on top. But like, you don't want to be putting a screw in. I'll just show you, like here you can see there's a lower section where there's no support there. It's the same over that side. I've actually squeezed a bit of extra liquid nails underneath it to give it some support when it's dry. You don't want to put a screw in there and try and suck the sheet in down to that low point there, because it'll crack the sheet and create a dip. So you really want to be putting the screws in the higher points, and just in your necessary points. So I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 screws in that bigger piece there, and 2 in that is enough in that small piece there. Yeah, some would say, why you bother and putting it underneath the rock and roll bed in the bottom part. I just reckon it looks better if you got your floorboards that go all the way through instead of stopping at the seat. So yeah, that's why I do that. So now I'm like this old drain hole from a sink or whatever it was in the past is capped off, so it serves no purpose anymore, so that will be covered over with the sheet, and that will be no worries. Yeah, so I'll need probably a dozen screws, maybe 10, maybe even 8, I don't know. So I've got to get enough of these to do that job. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So how many have I got here? I'm going to go and raid the box and get some more. So I'll put you on time lapse now, and you'll see me laying out the no more gaps. No, not no more gaps, liquid nails. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a pain to wrangle the sheet in. So I might actually only put no more gaps on that first half there. I'll wrangle the sheet in. And then lift it up at this end, and let's just see. Right, I'm going to put it on time lapse, and I'll work it out as I'm going along. So, rightio. Alrighty, so we've got the ply down. So you probably saw in that time lapse I did about there's no golden rule to it. Just there's no need to do every single run or whatever. This will be stuck down nicely. Now if you ever got to remove it in the future, it's going to be messy, but there's no reason to have to remove this. So there's nothing under there that's of worry. The speaker cables that have got going through in that channel underneath there, well protected. Yeah, I've got no screws anywhere near there, so they're all cool. But they've got some like duct tape on top of the wires, protecting that, and now you got ply on there. So yeah, it's happy days. So, and I've got no screws directly in the middle. So there's be no chance of it hitting any gear rods. Screws aren't that long anyway, so it's nice and solid now, and it's virtually level across. So exciting times. We can oh man, these are heavy. So now we can lay these down.
Yeah, make those a bit better. That's gonna look better.
See, I wonder now, Andrew. That'll actually go under the rock and roll bed, so you won't see any joins across that way. So that's decided. So we're just trying to work out whether to run the boards that way or that way. You really can do, we've done both and they both look good, but on this one, yeah, like that, and then we put the aluminium trim over the top. Actually, I'll probably notch that out to go around that. Yeah, I've got to, yep, you just got to cut that little bit there. So so that's covered that there. So the aluminium trim, it's a little like it's an L piece, and that sits over the edge there. So looking at those measurements, that'll come right to the edge once that's clipped in, and then you won't have any irregular joins anywhere. They'll be underneath, but I do like adding the boards underneath there. So where's our other board? Oh, it's here, hang on. So once the rock and roll bed locks into place there, this board is going to go basically in there. Yeah, it won't be that far back, the board will be like that. So that's going to look really neat. So on this we're going to have 2 speakers, USB charging, maybe even 240 volt, maybe on the other side there. Happy days. So that is going to look really smart. Yeah, what do you guys reckon? Yeah, I suppose you got to see the whole thing finished in the end. So I think I guess it doesn't matter too much for what it is. What we could actually do is lay the boards all up like this way, and then because it's actually only underneath the storage area, you could just run a couple of boards across that way for the, so it's all looks okay, and they can just butt up against the bottom of these. That would be no drama at all. So getting closer, but that's, I think I'll do a part 1 on a part 1 video tonight of fitting the boards, and then part 2 will be laying these down. So I think that's the plan. And the other video of rock and roll bed installation, I'll probably do that all in one video, because that should be just straight bolt up now. Easy peasy. So, I think that's all we need to worry about for now, and it's getting late in the day, so we're going to knock off and get back into it tomorrow. Bye. Alright, Grego's here. Yeah, if you haven't heard them before, good band.
Tangents.
6 foot under. Get onto the, look up the 6 foot unders. Good band. Yeah, so if you haven't seen Deliverance, that's up there as one of the classics. Some weird noises coming from the spray booth today. So, right, we're back on the floor. You've seen the drill on how to make your sub-floor, as we'll call it. So now it's time for the real deal. Now what we've discovered with these, I'll just get the brand name because we might as well. Havana waterproof AquaGuard hybrid planks from Bunnings. Don't know, what's the name of the brand? Smart Home Products. Anyway, normally they're quite a rigid board, a bit thicker, the floors that we've normally laid, but I put on pretty much whatever the owner gives me. So we've had to, normally I use a bit of, although all of these boards are designed to clip together, and that's usually enough when you're laying on a perfectly flat concrete floor or whatever, you know, you're starting at one side against the bloody, against the skirting board, whatever, and then you lay it down. The boards really on a big area have nowhere to go, but on something like this, a vehicle, something that has that's moving, these don't have the greatest structural integrity, you know, it's not like a bloody Bentley. So it's like, well, there's going to be a bit of movement there. The chance, the very slim chance is that the boards could pop out from how they lock in, and you know, you just wouldn't want them to move. We're going to put an aluminium edging over the edge. That's why it's called edging. Over the side lip there, so that sort of locks that into place, and we can even put another one on the other side so that all the boards are connected together and can't lift up anywhere. But I've decided in my wisdom, I don't even know if it's technically correct thing to do, but I'd rather glue these down, not just rely on the clip action alone. You know, I understand once they're clipped together they lock in, but that's designed for a concrete floor. You right there, Andrew? Yeah, anyway, we won't comment on what's going on out there. So each board, well, the first one's an issue because we've got the rock and roll bed temporarily installed, as in the bolts are through the holes and it's in place, but it's not bolted down tight yet, but that's irrelevant. But you can see here, this is like dead flat line, then it sort of tapers off to the side here, like on a little bit of an angle. So what you want to do is trim the board accordingly. So this is your clip edge here, you'll see it sticking out there. So you want that on there so the next board can clip to it. So what you got to do is trim the board so that it sits nicely. Trim the board, sits nicely. So let's have a quick look at the bloody peanut gallery here today. Yeah, they're in there, like hiding in the bloody Snorlax, doing his bloody trim job. So yeah, that's Bill Meister, also known as, what did you call it, Bill? Dubbaroo? What did you call your car? Yeah, I know that's its name, Jalby, but what's on the plaque on the engine bay? Kombi, right, okay, that's it. Bill took 6 years to come up with that. How do I combine Kombi and Subaru? And so he come up with Kombi. So there you go. 6 years? Something like that. Anyways, what are we talking about? Yeah, right, we've got to get these boards sitting in nicely before even thinking about bloody gluing them down. Now, there's another thing we had to do is there's a board that goes underneath. Oh, straighten you up a little bit, eh? There's a board that goes under here for the custom Kombi rock and roll bed. And because it's actually going to sit on top of the ply, like it's basically going to sit on top of this, we've actually trimmed the bottom of the board off because it has a shape on the side of the board where it kicks down, which is designed to come over this lip here on the floor. So that board was designed to sit on the original Volkswagen metal floors underneath. So, but because it's a bit higher, we've trimmed the board off, and it's all still trimmed and looks brand new. So that explains, just so that the board doesn't sit up too high. So get this first board in, important. Then we've got a nice straight line across here, which we have. Looks ace. Right, and then after that, it's just clicky, clicky, clacky, clacky. So we go along. Yeah, so you hold this up here like that, and then that folds down there, and then you give it a bit of a gentle tap actually, and it locks it into place. But what I'm going to do is don't know if it's correct or not, but it's what I'm going to do because I feel that's what it needs. So I've swept this floor off, so it's no dust or whatever, so everything's cool, it's going to stick. So what I'm going to do is spray the bottom of these boards. Yeah, it's got like a very thin layer of sort of rubber foam. It's like a fairly dense foam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use contact adhesive, which they recommend a couple of minutes before you put the two together. So let's give it a crack. Oh, by the way, I had to trim the board to fit behind there, right up against the edge of the rock and roll bed. And with this angle back here, I just used my little rolly. And you just sort of just rub it along the edge to remove a millimetre or whatever. You know, you don't want to start getting saws out and that, just for taking a little bit off. So right, you know, I've got my run of the mill cheapo spray gun, and my trimmer Mick gave me some contact adhesive that he uses. So now I got to see if this works. Oh shit! Oh no! Holy hell! Don't worry, I've only got the trigger pulled a little bit, so there's only air coming out. I thought I had it clean. Not clean enough. Right, so it's been swept and it has the end blown out as well. So anywhere where this board's going to sit, that's where you want to spray. Now this stuff is quite thrown out okay, but it is. If you get it past where you want it to, it doesn't matter. It's easy to clean up with a bit of soap. So there could be someone from the floorboard manufacturers that are watching this and they're going, "What are you doing, mate?" But I don't want these things moving, so. To get carried away, just a light coat, you know. What an artiste. an artiste, Andrew. I'll probably actually spray this a little bit further, so I'm good to put the next board on as well. That way, when I lay the first board on, I don't have to spray on the top of the board that's already. Yeah, that's you know what I'm doing. You know. So I'll come out a little bit further here. So I can't actually tell you what brand name this contact adhesive is because I wouldn't have a clue. All I know is good stuff. My trimmer used it and he just left me a jar with some in it. And I think the stuff, if you go to somewhere like Clark Rubber, if you're in Australia, or even Bunnings, is limited to what they have. That's trade quality contact adhesive, so you're sort of better off to buy it from a supplier online because it's not something you find in shops, because the tradies, the trimmers, they buy it by 20 litre drums, and you know, they buy multiple drums at a time and whatever. So so that's the theory behind it. So now, like with any contact adhesive, you'll need to wait a little while. Got to be a little bit patient. It's like when you're painting a car and you've got you look on the TDS, the technical data sheets, and it's got how long to wait between coats, because you don't want to overload it and can run into problems. So so just be patient, just chill, man, just chill. So yeah, okay, so the next thing is there'll be professional floor layers. There probably won't be anyone like that watching this, but they'll be like, no, they're not designed to glue down. You just lay them down and they clip in together and happy days. But it's like, something that's moving and flexing like this, I don't trust 100% the ability for it to stay put. So I'd rather just put this on. Hopefully it doesn't have to come off for another long time, 20 years for the next restoration, 30 years, whatever. So yeah, so that's the aim of the game. Is yeah, I'll quickly recap while this is drying. Floor was clean. We ran the speakers wires through underneath. This floor is cut to shape to sit in the lowest part of the floor to be close to flush with the higher part of the floor. Yeah, I'll probably recommend, you can bolt your whole seat to the floor as well on top, but that can alter slightly. Maybe that might make your bed a little bit higher at this end than that end, but we're only talking a centimetre anyway, so it's wouldn't even be noticeable. But I'm just bolting that through the floor. That's on a separate video that I'm supposed to be making as well. Yeah, but I'll just sort of get this floor installation video sorted first. So the next thing I'll do when I do have it all laid out through there, then we've got to decide what we're going to do underneath there. And it's like, well, it's a storage area basically. We don't have to just cut all those individual pieces. We can just run 2 strips going the other way because it's underneath. It doesn't matter. It's nice laying the flooring down still, but it's going to save a hell of a lot of work if we just run them through that way. So that's a couple of minutes of me talking. Yeah, so I think I need to be like this. Hang on. Right. Oh, well, that's down now. Right. Looking at that, I could have probably trimmed a little bit more of that off, but that's okay. So that's definitely stuck really well. It's not going anywhere. So now I'll need a mallet. You know where the mallet is, Andrew?
The white mallet.
Oh, I'll just use this little black one.
Use the white one. It's right here.
Right. Thank you. So okay. That's in there very snugly. Yeah. So the next piece didn't need to be cut at all because there's she's just a tad wider through there. So what I'll do now is spray this next piece. Yeah, I'll show you how we install this one, how it clips together, and then I'll put it on time lapse until we reach the other end, because once you've seen how to do one, you should be right. I guess if you felt there was a reason why you'd need to remove the boards or make them easier to remove, I don't know why you'd want to do that. You could skip this part, but I believe that you don't want them going anywhere, basically. So, not real happy with the way that's sitting up there. I should have trimmed a little bit more off. So that's why I prefer to show all the little things that can go wrong when you got an imperfect surface across there. So that needs a tiny little bit of trim through there. That's definitely, oh sorry, that's definitely something that could be sorted later. But I might actually, I've got like a it's a chisel looking thing that you'd use for cutting spot welds. Yeah, so I'm gonna put that in there, and just so that the glue is sticking right down. So I'm gonna grab that now. Sumptuous. Alright, so, oh, here we go. So this is it's like a spot weld busting tool. It's basically like a chisel, so I can use that down in here. Right, so I've taken a little bit out of that corner there, so that's sitting flatter now. So that's why these boards have a little bit of flex in them, so it's okay to, if your surface isn't perfect underneath, they're still gonna adapt a little bit, but you certainly don't want to, you wouldn't want to skip this ply stage and try and lay this out. It'd just be a nightmare. So I think we're good for the second sheet. So this, I like to put them in on an angle like that. And lay that down like so. Man, when that glue sticks, it really sticks. So yeah, it's designed that you've got an edge that comes out and another edge that folds over it, and when you set it in and pull it down, it sort of locks into place. It can't come apart. But with the glue, it just adds a little bit of safety, as in not crash safety, but it adds a bit of surety to know that they're not going to go anywhere. So yeah, so you sort of saw how that you sit it in evenly, like holding it up, and then drop it down and it clips in, and yeah, it's beautiful. Right, but one I have noticed, normally you can lift them up and clip them down and you can move them a bit, but once these are laying flat on with this contact adhesive, it's just not going anywhere. So definitely going to be a nicely sealed floor. So I'm going to put you on time lapse now, and you can watch me do the rest of them. All right, I'm getting low on battery, so I'll make this short and sweet. What you're going to find is that you're going to have, depending on the width of the boards, they're all different, you see, so you'll just have to work out. Now you want the next board to come underneath the door trim virtually, so come all the way through. So I made that mistake. I cut another board. I cut this board here thinking I had to be on this side of the door trim, but when you sit the door trim up underneath that edge there, where it's supposed to be, there's a gap underneath there, so you're better off to have the board extending past that. So this one here that I cut earlier is actually in fact too narrow, so I'm going to cut another piece, and which will be a centimetre or so wider, maybe even a couple of centimetres, because it can extend further into there. Yeah, so that's my plan, to cut that piece. I'm sure this is about to cut out soon, any second. So I think you got enough of the footage for now of laying this main part. So basically sit the board up into the groove and then fold it down, and then yeah, tap it in. So and with the glue, it's definitely the boards aren't going anywhere for good, so they should hold up really well. So that's the thing. So I just marked it out with a pencil on a full width piece, and then trimmed it down, and then just used the jigsaw or whatever, jigsaw or circular saw, but jigsaw probably. This stuff cuts pretty easily because it's so thin. So that's what I'm going to do. Cut another piece like this. I won't bother showing you that, but you get the general idea. I'll put the other battery in, and I'll show you how I'm going to finish it off underneath there. Okay, talk to you later. All right. Okay, so I'll just cut that last piece to size. It took a little bit of notching out in that back corner. See the odd shape on the end? Just the way the metal work has overlapped there and whatever. I've got seam seal and stuff there before I painted, so that's neither here nor there. So that contact adhesive is drying. One thing you got to remember is to definitely make sure it's clicked in. Put it this way, if you're using the thicker boards, more traditional ones, if you were using liquid nails, you got a little bit of time there to move them around. And the thicker boards, what you do is get a bit of timber on the end of the board across there, because it's higher. Got a bit more to play with. These are quite thin, these ones. And you tap the timber with your mallet, and that pushes the board right in together. All right, but with this contact adhesive and the thinner board and the foam on it rather than a hard surface, what it basically means is you got one shot to get it in place nicely. I'm looking at this end one here, and the gap feels like it's 0.5 millimetre, probably only 0.5 millimetre wider than the other gaps. And what's happening with this particular van, it's getting some bespoke sort of cupboards. Well, they're not really bespoke, they're a package set that you can buy from a company. And so the cupboards are designed to sit across here. There's enough room for when this is in bed mode. But yeah, so basically I think the cupboard is a low one, and then it comes up to a high one here, and that low one will actually cover over here. Not that there's anything, there's no water getting in or anything like that. It's all sealed down and glued down. I just I noticed that it does seem to be, well, tiny bit. Yeah, doesn't matter. Right, so next thing is, like, you could really go to town if you were OCD or whatever, but there's no need to be like that on this thing. With this section under here, if you wanted to continue these boards and cut around the feet and put individual pieces like that, you can see that, yeah. You know, if you wanted to follow this board, then yeah, go your hardest, you do that. But what we're basically going to have is, I'll just show you, eh? That's probably the best way. I'll get the board. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to put this last board in place. Where is it? That's me cut edge on the back. Find your slot, push it back towards yourself, and then lower it down. Right. I probably should have done a dry run before, but I've actually got I've got to take a little notch out of the top of this here. It's just hitting the welds on the frame there, so even though this got contact adhesive on it, I'm just gonna cut a little bit out here like that. Yeah, it's good music, Andrew. Give me 1 second. It's probably not worth me turning the camera around. Oh, oh yeah. Bobby. Sorry about that, folks. That should have been a straight drop in for you. Floor's looking fantastic though, really. I like these boards. The owner has chosen well. Right, so get that in the slot, drop it down, and it should just go straight down. Okay, tiny bit in the corner, it actually dislodged itself, so that worked out nicely. Beautiful. Mallet time. Right. That's awesome. So, because I have the panel there, I'm just going to have a quick look-see. We were aiming for all neutral tones in here because there's going to be some colouring brought in on other parts of the car. So it's just going to look classy and clean, and that fits under there. Almost don't need to use any clips. It looks so good. Almost no clips needed. How good does that look? Pretty amazing, actually. Right. Now, this board here, let's see how this one goes. Oh, it's gonna be a tight fit. Maybe if I didn't have it upside down, it might be a tighter fit.
I still don't think. God
Woo, baby! How good does that look? It's just so, looks so good. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, so don't get carried away. Yeah, so that's that part, just laying it down. So, right now, what I was going to show you next is, it's just so unimportant. This part here under these rock and roll beds is a nice storage area for your stuff. You know, put your stuff in there. You can put all sorts of things in there. So I'm just going to run the boards across that way. It's just going to make a lot less work. Instead of cutting up a heap of board, we're just going to run it across. So let's see how. Alrighty. I think we've virtually got this floor finished. Whoa, holy smokes! Watch your care. You put that. Oh, how dark is it in here now? I don't know. Bloody. Hang on, I'll undo you. Oh, gee, the music's fading out. We don't want to get banned in Belarus and Russia like your video, Andrew. So apparently, if you use the King Giz. I'm going to spin you around now. Oh, hang on, I've just got to undo this. If that doesn't make you sick, I don't know what. Like. So yeah, I've taken the GoPro out. I'm good. So now, yeah, we're just about done. you know, old Bill come in and he bloody looked at the boards running across there, and he's like, well, I would have done it the hard way. Yeah, I woulda. Okay, so first trap for young players. When you're putting the boards over there, remember that the this rock and roll seat's not actually bolted in place yet. I got the bolt through the hole, but you got to put these in underneath, and you can't spin these obviously, so you need to have access to that. So I had to cut away with my mini cutting tool there, so I can get a socket over the top of that and tighten that down with this underneath. All right, so don't do that. So because I had it nice and tight fit, thinking I was pretty smart how neat that is, and then I realized, shit, I haven't finished the damn bolting of the bed down. So I've got this last piece to go. I got my speaker wires out there, that looks really cool. So now I'm just going to put this something like that, and give that a tappy tap down. Oh, this one will do. Like a glove. So yeah, I've still got room to get to that, and I guess if you were really fastidious, you would put in a little piece across there, a little L piece, and I probably will. That's just the way it is. So I'll put this video up tonight. So if you choose to run these boards through, they actually clip end to end as well, so I didn't worry about that, because you've got the board that goes across here and that covers everything up, and you know, when you got stuff stored in there, it doesn't matter too much. So that's what's wrong, Andrew? Oh, okay. Yeah, so the that's how I'm going to finish up this video. So if you want to comment about what you think it looks like and how you would have done it differently, that's cool. We're all have different ways of doing things. I'm glad now that I got the contact adhesive and glued it down, because it is super tight, not going to move in any way, so the whole car can be flexing and these will stay nice and flat. So that's cool. I'm happy with that, how neat I've got it up the back there. So yeah, I'll just put that final L piece in and I'll be happy, and that'll be a neat little storage area there, easy to clean up. If you put your scuba diving gear or whatever down in there, it's going to be easy to clean up, because you'll have a nice flat floor. So yeah, happy days. So we've also got these, a bit unrelated, but these are the rubber mats that go along like so and get glued in. They're sort of pressured in shape. They've got the indentation there, so they look nice and neat. I've put some tape there so I can blow the glue on, and less cleaning up to do. Only takes a few seconds to put some tape down. So I've got to glue them on, and they go all the way around, and then we've got a trim panel to go over the top of that. So that's what's happening with Minty's interior. Yeah, now I'll be also fitting an aluminium strip that goes over this edge here, which will possibly, the last one I did, I just glued it down and it worked really well. So then you got no exposed screws. Once the glue's set, it's I just used a polyurethane sealer basically, and it just did its job. Once it's stuck down, it's no lifting it off. So I reckon that looks $1,000,000, and once we finish all the trim off and that, it's going to look sweet as. So alrighty, that's the video. Any words of wisdom, Bill? Any words of wisdom? No. Be good to your mother. That's the best advice you can have. You've only got one. although some people have 2. Anyway, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'll talk to you later. Ciao for now.